What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop. So with the 8th generation of Pokemon games on the way, set to be released next year, fans are speculating more and more with each passing day about what we could possibly see in these new games. There's obviously the region to speculate on, which I've done in the past, there's obviously the Pokemon, but also another interesting thing we could talk about is what the evil team of these games will look like. Obviously, they could be literally anything, and what form they take depends greatly on the setting of the games, the overall theme of the games, and so on. However, I feel like we could at least take an educated guess as to what they could turn out like, so in this video I'm going to present to you guys my ideas for 3 potential Pokemon evil teams for Generation 8. Essentially, I'm going to be evaluating where I think the games are going to take place in all likelihood, which obviously affects the style of the evil team greatly, and then I'm going to be formulating my ideas from there. I feel like I've got some really solid ideas here though, so why don't we go ahead and just take a look. Okay, so as I just mentioned, when you're talking about the possible evil team for any given generation, you've got to start with where the region of that game is going to take place, because the setting of the Pokemon game affects the style and the flavor of the evil team greatly. So with that being said, we're going to start this video off with a potential evil team set in my most recent prediction for what the region of the Generation 8 Pokemon games is going to be based on, and that would be Greece. If you haven't seen my theory video on why I think Greece is going to be the setting for the next Pokemon games, I definitely recommend checking it out. However, as it pertains to the evil team, there is a lot of different things we could pull from to make this evil team a fantastic one in a Greece-based region. Number 1, there's obviously Greek mythology. Greek mythology is probably some of the most in-depth and most well-known mythology of anywhere else in the world, and it obviously fits in really well with the potential Gen 4 remakes we could see alongside Generation 8, because obviously in those games we saw a lot of mythology being discussed there as well. So if we do see a Greece-based region, I definitely see mythology being a huge focus. However, in terms of the evil team's goals and focus with that, I feel like it's going to take a different direction than it did in Generation 4. I could potentially see the story of a game like this being something along the lines of that the mythology of this region is a huge point of emphasis for the discussion and the gossip of everyone in the region. And the big question here could be whether or not the myths and the legends that have been carried down for so long in this region, particularly the Pokemon that are talked about in these legends, are actually real or not. I feel like there could be a growing trend in the modern era of this region where the majority of the people are starting to not believe in the myths and the legends of this region and are starting to abandon the idea that there's some great legendary Pokemon out there that is so wonderful and great that it's essentially looked at as a god in these legends. However, this is where the evil team of this region comes into play, and Team Mythos, as I'm going to call them in this video, are absolutely disgusted that so many people have abandoned their belief system when it comes to the legends and myths that make this region so great, and they are determined to not only prove that these myths and legends are real, but they are also planning on reviving the legendary Pokemon of these legends in order to take control of the region and make everyone believe. In a game like this, the overall theme of the game would obviously be balancing old world views versus new world views and seeing the value in both of them, which, even though I didn't intend it that way at all, could actually be a really good lesson to have in our modern day society. However, I also feel like it provides amazing potential for not only an evil team, because that gives them great motivation, but it provides possibility for a great story as well, because if you've got people all throughout the region, NPCs, gym leaders, etc., talking about and discussing this idea of whether or not these myths and legends are real, it really would engage you as the player, I feel like, and would make you want to play more to really uncover the mystery of whether or not they are real in the first place. And so I really feel like this would be a great style for an evil team and a great style of storytelling, and I mean, obviously it's a crapshoot, but I would love to see it happen in Generation 8. The next place I feel is legitimately likely for Generation 8's region to be based on is Spain, and with Spain, we actually have a different sort of scenario. Because Spain is connected directly to France and the culture and the vibe of both of those places is roughly more or less similar, I feel like in a Spain-based region we could actually see a quote-unquote Neo Team Flare, similar to how we saw Neo Plasma and the rebooted form of Team Rocket in Black and White 2 and Gold and Silver respectively. Even though this might seem like just some recycled content and it might seem like it would be better to have a brand new team, it actually makes a ton of sense for how a Neo Team Flare could actually be really cool in a Spain-based region. Number one, there's obviously the fact that Kalos went grossly unfinished, and even though Team Flare's plot was kind of resolved more or less, the unfinished nature of Kalos could be perfectly revived in a Spain-based region to where we don't really need to have another Kalos game to get all the answers. We can have those answers be presented to us in a completely new setting with a new region with this Neo Team Flare that kind of connects the two regions together. What I see happening with this potential evil team is that Zero Sick or one of the other Team Flare admins has made their way to this Spain-based region to revive and basically start Team Flare over again. However, their goal is not going to be the same as it was in Pokemon X and Y, where they wanted to use the ultimate weapon to basically wipe out the region. However, it's going to be the exact opposite, and they're going to want to use the materials and the energy of the ultimate weapon for what it was originally intended for, and that's to give everyone in their team eternal life. Another interesting possibility we could add on to this is the fact that they could also be wanting to use the eternal life immortality properties of the ultimate weapon to revive their fallen leader Lysander, because as we know, his fate was really left up to question in the end of Pokemon X and Y, where Geosenge Town was basically completely wiped out, and it's not known whether or not Lysander made it out of that alive. So if they use this motivation as a way to say that they basically want to bring back Lysander, that could basically confirm that Lysander died in the final events of Pokemon X and Y's story, which would obviously, number one, answer one of Pokemon X and Y's questions, which would be really appreciated, Game Freak, but also it would be a really just awesome dynamic in a Pokemon game that obviously we don't see very often because it's a kid's game, but they could also pull it off because they don't have to say he died. They could just say that they want to bring him back to Team Flare or revive him or something, which basically would be a really sheepish way to kind of hint that, yeah, he kind of got sniped by the ultimate weapon. Using this Neo Team Flare to kind of reintroduce some of the themes of Generation 6 would also be a perfect way to reintroduce Mega Evolution and start making new Megas again in this Spain-based region, because obviously fans want it. However, you know Game Freak is not going to do it without a legitimate way to explain why they kind of skipped a generation, so this would be the perfect way to do so. So honestly, if we do see a Spain-based region, I would absolutely love to see a revamped and revitalized Neo Team Flare. And last but not least is the third place in the world that I feel like is most likely to see a region based on it in Generation 8, and that would be England. I feel like there's a lot of potential for a really cool evil team in an England-based region, and similar to the Greek region's evil team that provided a really cool story, I feel like the England region's evil team could provide for a really cool story in a game based in this region. In a nutshell, the story here is that Team Regal, the evil team of this region, has essentially already been defeated, and they basically have been wiped out in the modern day of this region. However, they are very bitter, the remaining members that are left, and they want to revert the region to a time where Team Regal flourished, because in the past of the region, they flourished and they were under control, but in modern day, they have basically been pushed back and defeated and are very small in numbers. So they want to get back to a time where they flourished, and they want to control and have an iron grip on the region and not let it go this time around. So basically the goal of Team Regal would be to revert the region back to a point in time where they flourished, probably with the help of the legendary Pokemon of the region, and basically make everyone live in this point in time. However, using their knowledge of the future, they will ensure that no one ever supersedes their rule again, and they will control the region for time and all eternity. Now, admittedly, this is a little bit fanfiction-y, but I feel like the time travel mechanics that we could see in a plot like this could relate really well to the Generation 4 remakes that we could also see in this generation, given that time and space was a big focus there. So that could kind of be a nod and a way to connect the two regions in terms of the overarching plot of the Pokemon world, because we saw this in Generation 6, where they connected the Generation 3 remakes to the plot of Generation 6, and if they do that again with Generation 4's remakes, this is a way it could potentially happen. I do also have a general idea of what this team could look like, with the grunts of Team Regal looking like the redcoats of the American Revolution and the older days of the British Army, and then the admins kind of looking like the more classic royal British people with the wigs on and the fancy clothes and whatnot, because obviously this team is going to be stuck in the past. They want to live in the old ways, so it would be a nice nod to not only the culture and the history of England, however, it would also tie into this story as well. However, another option you could go with, given we're talking about time travel mechanics, is giving Team Regal a steampunk look, because steampunk is often associated with gears and stuff like that, and obviously time and gears kind of fit together because it's the flow of time and some mumbo jumbo. And on top of that, the style of the steampunk style is also based on the 1800s, 1900s fashion of England and different places like that. So it would fit in really well with this kind of plot, this kind of setting. Either way, I would really like both, so I don't really care. I would just really like to see a plot like this happen if we do get an England-based region. And there we have it, everybody. Now, honestly, the closer we get to the end of this year and the start of next year, the more excited I get for all of the new things we're about to experience. And I really hope you guys are enjoying my theorizing and speculation videos on what we could potentially see in Generation 8. However, we do still have Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee coming out later this year, and if you would like to win a free copy of one of those games, go ahead and give me a follow over on Spotify and check out some of my remixes there, because we're going to be doing a giveaway over there when the games come out if we hit our follower base and our listener base, which we're really close to with still a ton of time left to go, so we're in really good shape for that. If you guys enjoyed this video though, be sure to give it a like and let me know down in the comments below your own ideas for the evil team of Generation 8 and what you thought of my personal ideas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for way more Pokemon content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I will be back here on Saturday as well with another video, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you can know as soon as it goes live. With all that being said though, I will be back on Saturday, so I hope you guys have a great Thursday and Friday, and until then, as always, I will smell you guys later.